Here's our next question. This was sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Vinny in Staten Island, New York. What do you make of Hakushi's run in WWE? It started out with a lot of potential. He was great in the ring, had a really cool look, and had a solid feud with Bret Hart. Then, all of a sudden, he loses to Barry Horowitz, turns babyface, forms a job tag team with Horowitz, then he gets released shortly thereafter. Was it a language barrier issue? Did he piss someone off? Or something else?
Well, he had a great match, rivalry. I don't know if I would call it a feud. It didn't last that long, but he had great matches with Bret because Bret liked his work and wanted to work with him. Imagine how that turns out. Because he's a great worker. He's a great athlete. His work was fucking great. The problem was, I think, if Vince was naturally predisposed not to I don't say dislike the guy personally or even as a talent, but not to want to push the guy because he couldn't fucking talk. He couldn't do promos. And in the WWF of that time, if they had the idea to, the motivation to, the desire to bring Hakushi in and put him with a manager and make him a top heel, and and I don't know about the fucking full body goddamn tattoo business, but that may have looked cool if he'd had other kind of badass outfit, whatever. He just, that might have worked. And if Bret had worked with him like that, and some of the other guys worked with him like that, but they just brought him in and put him on the card, and he's at that time, especially in the WWF, nondescript Japanese guys that don't have big names and don't have great gimmicks and aren't featured in main events, we're not going to get over with that audience. And honestly, they're not probably going to get over on anything past the hardcore fans today. But when I say that, I realize that nothing gets over today past the hardcore fans. That's the only one we got left. But, so Bret had a main event match with him because the guy was a main event level talent, but the gimmick was big and he couldn't do promos, but they didn't give him a fucking manager. Or maybe was he in a group of some of these multi-man groups when they did the Survivor Series? He might have had somebody talking for. He wasn't featured.
He had a manager. I don't know. I don't remember him doing promos, but he may have. Akio Sato. Remember he had white face paint.
Yes, well, then they and they give Sato, because Sato lived in Kansas City, by the way. They didn't have to bring him in from Japan.
Who was he married to? He was married to a wrestler, wasn't he?
He was married to was it Betty Nikolai?
That may be it.
May be it. So then here's a manager that nobody had ever seen before in the WWF, or hadn't seen as a manager, and maybe he worked there briefly 10 years before. And so now you got a Japanese guy that we've never seen before in the middle of the card with a manager we've never seen before. You see where this is going. I don't know why they did it. They could have had another fucking guy in that spot to do everything Hakushi did because, they didn't do anything with Hakushi. So Bret was trying to get them to get his stock to rise in the office's eyes and get them to see more in him because he liked him as an athlete and as a worker. But that only went so far.